So the killer used blackface to commit a murder, and yeah, just when you think you've heard it all. Once again, it's Murder and Mayhem Monday. Welcome back. My name is Franklin James, the serial author, and I hope you guys had a phenomenal weekend. But today I want to talk about the chilling case of Alyssa Burkett, a young mother from Texas whose life was tragically cut short on October 2nd, 2020. Now, if you are familiar with this story, then you know it's unsettling. And I want to give you guys my perspective because what took place is unimaginable. But if you aren't familiar with what happened, I'll discuss how this case just isn't about murder. It's about obsession, manipulation, and two people driven by jealousy and control. Now let's get into it. Alyssa Burkett was a 24-year-old young woman who was full of life. She worked as an office manager at a title company in Carlton, Texas. And from all accounts, she was ambitious, kind, and deeply devoted to her young daughter. But behind this picture of normalcy was a custody battle that ultimately cost Alyssa her life. She was in a turbulent dispute with the father of her child, Andrew Beard. Now, their separation was bitter, with disputes over custody and allegations of Andrew's abusive behavior. But despite it all, Alyssa Burkett was determined to build a stable life for her daughter. I mean, at one point, Alyssa Burkett and Andrew Beard had become cordial, attempting to co parent amicably. And I can probably guess what you're thinking. If Andrew Beard and Alyssa Burkett were in a good place, why did he decide to take her life? And do it in broad daylight, nonetheless. Well, it all started when Andrew Beard met a woman named Holly Elkins, a woman he hadn't known no more than a month. And from what I've gathered, she appears to be a textbook narcissist. In fact, at one point, it was noted that Holly Elkins wrote to Andrew Beard and said, "Your baby mama owns you. You continue to put your baby mama first. You choose to be, I don't know, for a lack of a better term, submissive to her." Which is interesting because I think in her mind, he's just being submissive to the wrong person. And she ended it by saying, "I don't have, want, or need any bullshit from anyone," which tells me she's likely dealing with some past traumas of her own. And to me, what she said sounds manipulative and narcissistic. I mean, it's clear that Holly Elkins wants to be in control. She's driven by it. And I believe it's her sentiments that led to an innocent woman's demise, a murder that took place on October 2nd, 4 years ago. The day Alyssa Burkett was completely unaware of the horror that awaited her. The day witnesses reported seeing a man ambush Alyssa Burkett in the parking lot of her office building, a man they believed to be African American, a man that shot at her and then got in his car to drive away. But once that man saw that she was still alive, attempting to escape, he ran her down and brutally stabbed her over 40 times. It was a very frenzied and chaotic attack. This person was clearly full of rage, and I can say that by how many times Alyssa Burkett was stabbed. Now, once the police arrived, they took witness statements and got a description of the perpetrator. But once Alyssa's mom arrived on the scene, she spoke to the police and told them she knew exactly who did it: Andrew Beard. And she knew deep down it couldn't have been anyone else. It was him. Now, what's even more shocking is the extent of premeditation involved. Andrew Beard just didn't plan this attack. He went to extraordinary yet disturbing lengths to disguise himself to avoid suspicion. In fact, investigators later discovered that a darker tone of makeup was purchased as well as a fake beard. This wasn't just a spur of the moment act of violence. It was calculated, deliberate, and in his mind necessary. Or at least he was convinced it was, believing that he needed to be the one to have custody of his daughter. I mean, from what I've gathered, he and Holly Elkins tried everything to get custody of this little girl and remove Alyssa Burkett from the picture. They even filed false police reports and placed illegal contraband in Alyssa's car. I mean, they harassed her routinely, and when that didn't work, they wanted a more permanent solution. And from all accounts, Holly Elkins orchestrated the entire thing. Hell, she even bought the makeup. That was her idea. And from what I've read, Holly Elkins exhibited what is known as coercive control. Now, this is when one partner exerts psychological pressure on another, creating a cycle of dependency and complicity. So, what do I mean by psychological pressures? Well, these are demands placed on the individual to think, feel, and act in a certain way. At the end of the day, it's all about manipulation. And it appears Holly Elkins exerted significant influence over Andrew Beard's thoughts, actions, and worldview. And it's likely that their relationship may have started out genuine, right? Yet ultimately, it became driven by fear, manipulation, and a sense of loyalty. And it's unfortunate because in the beginning, it appears that Andrew Beard just wanted to be there for his daughter and his daughter's mother up until he met Holly Elkins. And she may have felt as though the mother of his child had a unique influence over him, an influence that she desired. I think Holly Elkins was driven by the need to be in control. And she didn't want to feel powerless, which probably stems from some childhood trauma, likely neglect. She wanted it to be known that how she feels matters as well, which tells me Holly Elkins likely grew up in a broken, dysfunctional household where she was abandoned or neglected and never felt good enough. And I think any childhood trauma she may have experienced definitely influenced every decision she's ever made. And I'm certainly not trying to justify her actions because as an adult, Holly Elkins knows right from wrong. And Andrew Beard played his part as well. He was clearly full of rage and repressed anger, and Holly Elkins was the gasoline thrown on a fire that was already burning hot. In the end, Andrew Beard pled guilty in June of 2022, but took a plea deal upon speaking with the FBI, and he told them everything. He told them that Holly Elkins was the mastermind behind it all, and he had receipts. He was sentenced to 43 years in federal prison in May of 2023. Eventually, Holly Elkins was arrested by federal agents, went to trial, and was found guilty on all counts in April of this year. She was sentenced to 2 life terms. Upon learning more about this story, I found it heartbreaking, but I certainly feel for Alyssa Burkett, her family, and her daughter. But I'm glad Andrew Beard and Holly Elkins were both brought to justice because they certainly left murder and mayhem in their wake. But I thank you guys for tuning in. I do ask that you stab that like button and subscribe. Leave a comment and let me know what you guys think. Crack that bell for notifications, share this video out there, and if possible, avoid mayhem.